win this fall.
All right, we kind of been teasing it out. So, Danny, I'm going to let you get first crack here. There's a head coach.
Yeah.
We've got our favorites. The Houston Cougars going into 2025, looking for a little bit of a bounce back. Over under win total at FanDuel Sportsbook of 5.5. They certainly see a little bit of a bounce back from 4-8 because that 5.5 is juiced minus 188 to the over under plus 152. As you look at the team, Connor Wegman, what in the schedule, how do you think this ends up playing out?
So I've got this one over. I've been burned by the Connor Wegman hype before, but I do think this is one of those situations where you get somebody who's probably at the level where they should be playing, and it's not a different level, but it's different defenses. I'm a big believer in Willie Fritz, too, that this team is going to make big strides in year two. Even last season, yes, you saw some ugly games, but you also saw some surprise upsets where you're like, wait a second, Houston beat that team. They beat a Kansas State.
They beat Utah and Kansas State.
Right.
Fever dream.
And like as much as those teams didn't have years we thought, they still were pretty good football teams. So I'm buying in on Houston to take a big step forward. I think the schedule is pretty manageable where they don't play the tougher teams. They don't play Kansas State. They get Arizona State and Texas Tech. Those are the two toughest opponents. They split them, one home, one on the road. I like this team. Baylor at the end of the year, who knows how that one goes, but if I only have to get to 5.5, I was pretty over it. I'm more, this would be the team, like if you said, who could be the Arizona State, like kind of come out of nowhere, nobody's picking them. I'm not picking that, but I do feel pretty convicted that they're going to go over the total.
Yeah, I'm with you there, maybe with slightly less conviction, Danny, but one of my main concerns I had for this team, after I saw that Connor Wegman actually got in shape, which does matter to me, was the secondary. And yet I looked at this schedule and I'm thinking, how many games does a weak secondary really potentially going to get exploited here? Stephen F. Austin, probably not. Rice is running a brand new triple option scheme, which is pretty cool to go watch. They ran it at Davidson up by Chip last year. Colorado, again, I don't profile them as like a top 2/3 passing team in the P4 this year. Oregon State obviously would have, if they were in the P4, one of the worst passing offenses. Texas Tech has a chance to drop like 50 on you because they spread it around, they chuck it a bunch, and I think your third and fourth corners probably don't cover them all that well. Oklahoma State's a bit of an unknown for me there. We don't know what the offense is going to look like. Arizona, probably like still bottom half of P4 in passing, type offense, but maybe not dreadful. Arizona State probably has a chance to light you up. Levitt's pretty good. West Virginia, don't really profile them as a team that can chuck it around well. UCF, kind of the same thing. TCU could light you up. Baylor could light you up. I like that you get all of the bad throwing teams or potentially bad throwing teams in the Big 12 if your weakness, I think, is the secondary. And so maybe your weakness is mitigated a bit. I'll go over.
And they lose some defensive linemen too. Like what's a way to have a good pass defense? You give a lockdown secondary, you can have a really good pass rush. I know they lose a lot of production on the defensive line as well. A defense that just like held them in games. There were multiple conference games where Houston did not score a touchdown last year. Mm-hmm. In terms of improvement, then yeah, I think that we are all predicting a step forward for that team offensively, but they're gonna, man. Do you know what happened, Danny? I did it just like you did. I did it blind. I'm just sitting there. I'm just counting it up, and I feel like I'm gonna fudge the numbers. I feel like I'm cheating. I just want this to be an over so badly. I think it's spot on. I mean, what are you gonna do with? Do you think that Houston at Oregon State is a lock win for Houston?
No, but I gave him a W.
Yeah, and then
that was one of the ones where I really think could determine kind of that's feels like a must-win game if you want to go over this to kind of carry that momentum into the Texas Tech game at home, where that would be potentially undefeated Houston playing against a top 10 Texas Tech team, potentially. And that, I don't know. I think they could carry in that, maybe pull off one of the surprise upsets of the season. But then, I don't trust them because it's the Big 12. They could lose the following week with a letdown game against Oklahoma State. But I do think they win that game, but it wasn't an automatic lock by any means.
Yeah, let's see what this ends up looking like. A lot of toss. I got Colorado at Oregon State, at Oklahoma State, Arizona, West Virginia, at UCF. I got games that I want to be able to give them. Just toss-up city over here for Houston. My emotion, my heart says that we should be going over, but I am 100% not going to lay the -188. So I'll root for this along the way.